Here we are, episode 10. Last week we went through possible Zelda theories. Now I'm going to go through which theory is possible with the next mainline Zelda release. If some are worrying about credible information, my personal theory is backed up by sources that I will leave in the description below. This theory is just that, a theory. Now I like to keep my theoretical observations purely logical and without much bias nor emotion. In episode 1, I have clarified a possible release of 2016 or 2015 in the earliest. What made me jump to that observation initially is on principle to Nintendo's marketing strategy. Pretty much every single Zelda title, including Hyrule Warriors, has been announced 1 year before release. Even if you do consider possible development all the way from 2011, you would still have to consider other factors. In episode 2, I detailed development team number 3's workload. They had an astonishing 3 Zelda titles to work on. Nintendo even dished out a remake. In as little of 3 years, Nintendo has dished out 5 Zelda titles, 3 of which was worked under constant supervision of Yuji Aonuma. Obviously, the next mainline title will have constant supervision of Aonuma. So let's factor in the possible initial development period of 2011. Around that time, Skyward Sword is finished in development. They also worked on both Wind Waker HD and Link Between Worlds, in addition to aiding in development of Hyrule Warriors. Now, that's pretty much a workload. An estimation of a 2015-2016 release seems very plausible according to the facts. In addition, 2016 is the 30th anniversary of the Zelda franchise, so perhaps we may expect something. Moving on, in episode 3 I have left room for a possible Zelda remake, mainly with the likelihood of Majora's Mask remake. Financially speaking, a remake, if planned, will be released after the mainline title. The reason why I say that is because the next Zelda has already been confirmed to be in development. Not only that, but it is also very highly likely that a reveal in E3 2014 will occur. The 30th anniversary of Zelda may have a remake or some sort of title coming around that way. A likely guess is Majora's Mask. Speaking of remakes, it has also been clarified that Twilight Princess and Skyward Sword may get HD remakes. However, another developer will handle their development if they are going through. A likely developer is Grezzo, responsible for the Ocarina of Time 3DS remake, or perhaps Capcom. They have developed several handheld Zelda titles. However, I'm afraid that trying to deduce remakes is a gambler's choice, so moving on with the mainline title, we go into the subject of lineups. Specifically, the Nintendo 2015 lineup is invisible at this point. There is little to no information about it. However, we do have substantial information in determining the gameplay of the next mainline title. In episode 5, I have clarified Aonuma's statement of development aiding, in which the development of one title aids in the development of another. By that standard, elements of both Wind Waker HD and Link Between Worlds may be apparent in Zelda Wii U. So what does this exactly mean? Well, Aonuma clarified that exploration is crucial. Though he has refuted it, he did say he wanted to replicate emotions such as in Bethesda's Skyrim. In addition, it is confirmed at this point that the setting will be set in Hyrule. From that information present, we can infer that the gamepad will be predominantly used in items, maps, and HUD, presumably to keep the main screen devoid of items as much as possible. In other words, it is very likely that the gameplay mechanics for the next mainline Zelda to be very sleek. Now let's talk about the possible story, and this is when we get into more theory than fact. Looking at the official Zelda timeline, the child timeline in particular is the only timeline which it hasn't been touched in a while. Every single timeline has had a new iteration recently, while the child timeline hasn't been touched in 7 years. Looking at the child timeline, it is notably much darker than the others. Majora's Mask and Twilight Princess are indeed in it. This has led some to believe that the next mainline title will have more darker elements than previous iterations. Not only that, but sales for Zelda titles dramatically increased with realism. For example, Ocarina of Time and Twilight Princess are the series' top sellers. In fact, the original release of the Wind Waker actually sold better than Skyward Sword. Financially speaking, a dark-toned Zelda to appease Western audiences is preferred, considering that the market in Japan is becoming more and more harsh, and their own financial difficulties as noted by the media. It is a logical choice in a sense. Now, if we look at it, a logical choice is a Zelda title from the child timeline which is associated with a dark atmosphere. In addition, it has been confirmed that the art style to be neither cartoony nor ultra-real. So, we go to a man by the name of Satoru Takizawa, the art director of Twilight Princess. I'm willing to bet money that if the direction they are going for the next Zelda is indeed the one that has a darker atmosphere, then Takizawa will be heavily developing it. Takizawa wasn't working fully on Skyward Sword, which is strange considering that they were working on multiple Zelda titles. So what was he working on? Considering his past work on Twilight Princess, we can infer a mainline title for a timeline continuation. Realistically, I predict the next Zelda title to come after Twilight Princess and before Four Sword Adventures. But what exactly? Well, it is difficult to decipher. From interviews stating that the setting of Hyrule will be vastly different from past settings. In addition, from the pre-beta Zelda footage from the past E3, we can determine a modified version. Why? If Satoru Takizawa was the art director of Twilight Princess, this footage resembles an HD remake of it. Now, we did see an article of a possible Twilight Princess remake. Now, if Twilight Princess is considered strongly for a remake, wouldn't Takizawa be hard at work? Now, I believe the story for the next Zelda title to have little to do with Twilight Princess in terms of story. I believe it will be more of a timeline continuation rather than a direct sequel. Now, let's look at the timeline again. There is a huge gap between Twilight Princess and Four Sword Adventures. It's pretty much an empty slot. Almost like there's a planned Zelda to fill it. Now, speaking of the story, let's look ahead in Four Sword Adventures. In Four Swords, Ganondorf and Vati is resurrected. Could this mean that neither Ganondorf nor Vati will appear in the next Zelda? Perhaps. If Ganondorf wasn't in the next Zelda, it would support Aonuma's interview. Aonuma did say that the next Zelda will be superbly different from past ones. Perhaps this confirms it to some degree. What about the role of Link in Zelda? In the same interview, Aonuma spoke of different roles for each one. At the end of the events of Twilight Princess, Hyrule is presumed to be set in peace. Now we are in theory territory, so take what I say next with a grain of salt. If Hyrule is at peace, something has to offset it. Specifically, the Gerudo, or the Gerudo, I'm not really entirely sure how to pronounce it. Now the Gerudo has only appeared in a few titles: Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, and Four Sword Adventures. In Four Swords, information was pointed out at a war between the Gerudo and Hyrule. Perhaps we'll be seeing more of the Gerudo again in the next mainline title. In addition, a majority of the games that includes the Gerudo just happen to be in the child timeline. In short, my personal theory is that the next mainline title will be set between Twilight Princess and Four Sword Adventures. Also, the Gerudo will be major to the plot as well. However, there is a theory that is also very possible: the mysteries of the Sheikah. According to Hyrule Historia, the Sheikah has served the royal family as a warrior race. As a result of war, their numbers dwindled down to a handful. Perhaps we'll be seeing more of them in the future. Now, that's enough of speculation. I hoped in this month's Nintendo's Direct that we would get more information, but sadly no. However, the Wii U's Virtual Console is set to revamp titles such as the Nintendo 64 to HD quality. Perhaps we'll see HD remakes of Ocarina of Time or Majora's Mask, or indeed other titles as well. Now, that's all information I have for you guys. Special thanks goes to Russell Silver for contributing to this week's video. If you want to contribute for next week's video, message me with the source and I'll feature your name in next week's video. Episode 11 will be coming on the 24th. Please like, share, and subscribe if you're new. Till then, this is the video of today.
Meet the old man at the waterfall.
Okay, yeah, I got that. Okay, that's good. But the thing is, I really need to know if there's an underground lair anywhere around here. Because, okay, this guy Ganon, he abducted my girlfriend, okay? He's a real dick. He's been doing this kind of crap since high school. My main thinking is if I can just walk up, I'll waltz in there, get her, pick her up, get the hell out of here, and be on my merry...
Meet the old man at the waterfall.
Okay, you know what? Don't test me, woman. I got a sword. All you got is a campfire, okay? Just tell me what I want to know.
Meet the old man at the waterfall.
Okay, you know what? That is fucking it. I'm gonna go Steve Irwin on your ass. Prepare for the stingray.
Ow.
That's how I roll, bitch. Yeah, I'm a son of a bitch. This is bullshit.